Let's move to this conversation now. The African Transformation Movement will be before the Western Cape High Court tomorrow in a bid to have the motion of no confidence against President Cyril Ramaphosa be held via secret ballot. In February, the Speaker declined their request to have the vote held via secret ballot. Now, the party says the Speaker erred in her decision-making and want the court to set that particular decision aside, among others. The ATM also hopes the court will make haste as the motion of no confidence vote is due to be held this week, in fact on Wednesday. Now let's speak to ATM President Vuyo Zungula. Tatu Zungula, thank you so much for your time. Your matter, of course, will be heard tomorrow, and you've called the the open ballot a sham. I remember when the Speaker had just released the statement saying that she has declined your request, but also of interest is that you say that the Speaker erred when she declined to grant your request for a secret ballot. Are you confident that you've put forward strong arguments to convince the courts to grant your request?
Thank you, and greetings to you and your viewers. It is clear that the Speaker has erred because the courts previously stated that the matter of having a vote of no confidence for members of Parliament to be able to vote with their conscience has to be done in a manner in which they need to be protected from any potential abuse from their parties. And also they've raised the issue of a toxic environment. We know with Mr. Marvin Dex how he's received death threats. We know other members of Parliament who have previously been poisoned. So for us as the ATM, we've clearly put forward the reasons that everyone should see that the toxic environment, which the Speaker is refusing to accept that there is a toxic environment in Parliament. That is why, as the ATM, we are very confident.
So basically, you are dismissing what she said in her statement, where she said that you did not lead her to conclude that openness and transparency should not prevail. In her view, saying that events that did not point to a toxified and highly charged atmosphere, she says that she doesn't believe that there is that kind of toxicity and that goes so deep that it will not allow a fair process. So listening to what you're saying, you completely disagree with that.
Definitely. Look, the current method of voting, Chief Whip will stand and say, I'm representing Party A, there's so many of us in the House, and we are voting in this way. That on its own is a breach of the rules of Parliament, because what it effectively means, it means the representatives, which is the MPs, have now elected other representatives to actually vote on their behalf. And as you can imagine, if the Chief Whip says we are as a party voting in this particular manner, then it means it's no longer members of Parliament voting individually and in accordance with their conscience. And also what is very clear for everyone to know, the fact that you've got a member of Parliament that has received death threats, has gone to the police station to open a case and has an existing case number, that clearly shows that the environment is toxic. For environment to be toxic, it does not mean people need to shout and and people make noise, they howl, they heckle, all of those things. But the fact that there's a threat of life, for us as the ATM, we believe that it warrants that the vote must be secret to protect the lives of the members of Parliament.
So, Tatu Zungula, other MPs are quoted as saying that they would like for this motion of no confidence vote to be held when Parliament comes back from recess, saying that, the time between the court case, which, of course, you are petitioning the court on an urgent basis tomorrow, and Wednesday is simply too short, especially given the fact that judgment may even very well be reserved. Are you prepared for a postponement?
We've been having a postponement since 2020. Remember our motion, we put it for the first time, February 2020. Look, it is our duty as members of Parliament to actually make sure that we hold the executive accountable. And it is for that reason that we believe as the ATM that a further postponement of this motion clearly limits us as an organization from doing what we're elected to do, which is to hold the executive accountable. However, we are not going to take part in a sham whereby members of parliament are going to be forced to vote in a method that will compromise their lives. Therefore, we as the ATM, even though under these circumstances would not want a postponement, but if the court decides to interdict, then would be gladly accept that postponement so that eventually when the parliament reopens, we are able to hold the executive accountable.
I'm staying in Parliament, but on a different issue, which I'd really like your comment on. I mean, Parliament saying that it's forging ahead with the impeachment proceedings against the Public Protector Advocate Vuyo and she's responded also to the President who wanted reasons on why he shouldn't suspend her. She says that the President is conflicted, the President disagrees with this. Your thoughts on these developments and Parliament, of course, forging ahead with this process?
Look, we need to be principled as leaders in our country. Previously, the court said the former President Zuma could not actually appoint a judge because he's conflicted. He's a subject of the investigation that Commission of Inquiry was supposed to investigate. Now, we've got the same set of issues that we're having currently, whereby the current president is a subject of investigations done by the very same public protector. Therefore, it goes to show that there is no way in which he may not be biased in terms of suspending the public protector. He should be allowing Parliament to utilize whatever means that they have legislatively to actually hold the public protector accountable. But for himself as a president that is conflicted, we do not believe that he should be suspending the public protector. Secondly, Parliament is being led by a DA that has clearly stated from the time Advocate Mkhwebane was appointed as a public protector that they do not want the public Advocate Mkhwebane to be a public protector. Therefore, this is not about principle. This is not about good governance. This is not about the people of South Africa. Rather, it is about the long standing hatred that the DA has for any black person, particularly any independent person that is not afraid to uphold the law, that is not afraid to make unfavorable judgments against the elite and the powerful in our country.
Dr. Zungula, we're almost out of time, but I can't let you go without asking you this very briefly. We've seen the arrest of Nhlanhla Dlamini, also the march yesterday by Kopanang Africa, and some also calling into question the work of Operation Dudula. I wonder what are your thoughts around these particular developments where Operation Dudula is concerned?
If the government did its work, there would be no need for Dudula and Fiela or the Uber drivers to actually, do the work that they are doing. It shows that the government is failing, and when the government fails, people naturally they take the leadership of their own country, they lead themselves. Therefore, it is our view that the government must act. The government must listen to the cries of the people so that people do not resort to taking the law into their own hands because the government has failed. We know in many communities, people are subjected to mob justice, not because they want to effect mob justice. It is because the police and the government has failed to enforce law and order. So people can fight against Dudula now, but the same or another movement coming up with a different name is going to come out in another community in our country. Therefore, to permanently solve the problem, the government must act, Home Affairs must act, the police must act, and the public, the Minister of Public Works must act as well. When the government acts, there will be no need for people to lead themselves.
All right, thank you so much for your time. We'll certainly also look at those developments in the Western Cape High Court tomorrow. That was ATM President Vuyo Zungula. Let's go for a quick ad break. When we come back,